Now joining me in studio to discuss the New York State Button Society's annual show coming to Binghamton, show organizer Jennifer Reed and treasurer of the New York State Button Society, Kathy Park. Hello ladies, how are you doing today?
Great.
Doing
Good,
well, thank you.
Good, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for
start
having
off
us.
telling me just a little bit about the New York State Button Society as a whole.
Well, the New York State Button Society was established 80 years ago.
Okay.
Actually 80 plus. I believe that was in 1943. And we have several members throughout the state of New York. We have several clubs. We have 7 different clubs in the state.
Okay.
And for this New York show that we're having this weekend, everybody comes from around the state to join us.
All right. You know, I've seen so many pictures of different buttons and all buttons, I guess, all type buttons, all things buttons. So tell me about what people can really expect at the show coming up, what they can see.
So at our show, we invite everyone. It is free and open to the public. And we have what we call button dealers. So they're vendors, and they come and they sell their buttons. And we have shopping hours. We also host a auction, which is great. And another day we have a presentation, so anyone can, it's open and anyone can come and learn about our buttons.
All right, and so I'm not a button expert by any means. You know, we talked a little bit about it before the interview. So can you talk about really what buttons are, and they're not just things that we find on our coats and our shirts, things like that?
Well, originally, I mean, buttons were the first fastener of clothing. And they were made, we go back many, many years, and they were made out of many different materials. They were first made out of bone, animal hoofs, whatever was available to that period of time. So throughout the years, you know, modern technology came along, and they went from being glass buttons or wooden buttons or bone buttons to China buttons, and then of course now we have what, you know, what's typically on our clothing. It's a plastic little button.
Yeah.
But what we have are the antique buttons, and they're really basically beautiful pieces of artwork. If you look at one closely, they're just pieces of artwork.
Yeah, you know, I think we should go back to your buttons that you guys have and you guys brought. I don't like the plastic cheaper ones, you know. So, you know, speaking of those, tell me about some of the ones that you brought on the table here, and you guys are holding some buttons, kind of what people can expect.
Well, some of these, the paperweight buttons in the one frame, they're made by a studio button artist by the name of Mary Gaumond.
Okay.
And those are blown glass paperweight buttons. Then we have some,
We have some wood studio buttons, some that are made of fabric. I brought some from a man that lived in Tully, New York, that made buttons like this. His name is Sid Bell. So that's another pewter button, or silver.
yeah.
And then before too, we were talking, Jen, we were talking a little bit about competitions with buttons. So can you tell us about that? I know it's over here in like the plastic covering.
Yes, so that's an award tray of nothing but frog buttons. So when we compete, we like to look for different materials, sizes, shapes, some older buttons, if the award allows for that, and newer buttons on the same award. And that's one that I competed last year with New York and won a ribbon with.
Oh, awesome. Well, congrats on
Thank you.
that. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
So I want to ask too, for people that might not really know about buttons other than hearing what we're kind of talking about right now, why would you tell them to really come out to the show?
I think it would be great to see the buttons in person. I don't think anybody can appreciate them unless they're seen in person. We've had several people that we know come, and they're amazed at what is really a button, you know, and what buttons are made out of. Like I said, they are little pieces of artwork. They're not just that plastic little button.
Yeah, and lastly, I can't forget, on the sign over here, the theme this year is Over the Moon for buttons.
Yes.
So how did you come up with that theme? What does that really mean to the show?
Well, every year at our annual meeting, it's voted upon, you know, come up with an idea of the show's theme. And it's just because we are so in love with our buttons that we are over the moon for buttons this year. And we already have our theme picked out next year,
Okay.
and that is Love is in the Air.
Oh, perfect.
So, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think this is so unique. When you guys reached out to me, I thought this was so cool because I didn't really know anything about buttons. So I think having a whole show and really showing this history is really awesome.
Yes.
So tell me lastly about admission and where people have to go and when the show is.
So the show's at the DoubleTree, right down on, is it Water
Water
Street? Do I have that
Yep.
right? Yes, right here in Binghamton, and it's free, open to the public. We welcome all, including young folks. So we have a juniors club as well in New York State.
Okay.
So we're always looking for new members.
Awesome, awesome.
There actually was, way back in the 40s and 50s, here in Binghamton, there was a Southern Tier Button Club. And it folded, I don't know when, probably, I'm going to guess late 80s, early 90s, before I even thought of button collecting. And I so wish that I could meet somebody that had one of their family members in that club just to get a little bit more history about it. I do have some booklets that the meetings were in people's homes,
Okay.
and they would meet once a month. And they kept a little booklet of everybody who attended and whose house it was at. And I just find that fascinating that there was a club right here in Binghamton.
Yeah, I feel like this really opens a lot of history, not just
Yes.
with buttons, but like you said, the meetings and things they talked about and just the history of our area.
Right.
Well, I want to thank
Super.
you ladies so much for joining me today. I hope you have a lot
Thank
of
you.
fun at your show, and I hope a lot of people pop out as well.
We hope so too.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
For those of you who might have missed those details, the New York State Button Society's annual show themed Over the Moon for Buttons will take place from May 2nd to the 4th at the DoubleTree by Hilton in Binghamton. This free public event invites button collectors, history enthusiasts, and curious newcomers to explore a dazzling array of antique and collectible buttons. Highlights include a vibrant button marketplace, educational presentations on button history and artistry, a judged tray competition, and a vintage button auction. For more details, please visit nystatebuttonsociety.org.